Hey, thanks everyone for joining today. It is Monday here, starting off our new week of Lunch and Learns. My name is Will Pedersen. I think we have a few pre-submitted questions today. How many pre-submitted questions do we have today, Maroon? Is just a single one?
No, we have two.
Okay, so I see one from Tim here. How to build a validation rule for a file data upload field in version 7. Let's see here, validation rule.
Hey, Will.
Hey, Tim, how are you?
So I think I figured it out. Again, just trying to get used to building validation rules because I've been building them in 6 for so long, and now it's like flow based. Because the issue was, if they answer, I don't know, maybe I could explain it easier.
Sure, go ahead, please.
Or show it. I don't know if I could show my screen or not. It might not work.
We can let you share your screen. I have to make you a panelist. And now that you're a panelist, you should get some boot you out. All right, and there you are, Tim. You're now a panelist. I'll stop my share if you want to start your share. We can look at what you're doing.
So I am building. So our university and other universities often have something called a HECVAT. I don't know if you've heard me talk about it before. Higher education vendor assessment toolkit. Basically, if someone's going to buy a new system, we have to send out this HECVAT with a bunch of security questions and stuff to the vendor to have them fill it out just to make sure there's no issue with like our data leaking or anything like that. My debugger will work. It always lags on calls, I swear. Well, does not want to debug right now.
Is this something you've been hitting recently?
No, not really. Let me just save this. Just get out of the whole thing. Back into it. See if that fixes it. Debugger. There we go. So fill up business case. Normally the vendor would get this email, but I have it just set up right now just to go to me for testing.
Sure.
So I already have some visibility and validation rules I was able to get working here. So again, the idea is they select a specific data class. I'll just do unrestricted because that's what I have the most built out right now.
Pop-up looks good.
All right, so the idea here is they answer, so a lot of vendors have already existing HECVATs that are up to date. So this is like a task. I'm gonna set it up as a named session.
Okay.
So basically they log in as a guest, but I'm gonna use that vendor email as kind of who it goes to. So they answer yes or no, but if they answer yes, they then have to upload their existing HECVAT.
Okay.
But if they hit submit, it then throws the validation error to, hey, you have to submit a heck vat. You haven't submitted one.
Okay.
And I can't make that a required field, obviously, because it's based off these, this grid shows that they answer yes, this grid shows that they answer no.
Mhm.
And I think the issue I had was this
Mhm.
file upload field, when it was coming into the rule,
Mhm.
it was coming in null, which is fine. But because I didn't have it set to can be null, it was coming in as like no value.
Mhm.
And it wasn't evaluating like that at all. So that's kind of the rule. If it's yes and there is no attached file,
Right.
go down the true path. And this is how you do it in version 7,
Yeah,
right? You do like the
correct.
set validations. So then
Yep,
I set it
exactly.
for that field. Okay. Um,
This looks right
okay.
at a high level.
And that was my issue. I was struggling with trying to figure out how to get, it just wasn't capturing or that null value for the upload. But it was because I had to go into the rule and define it that it could be null here.
Okay.
So
I mean, it
can
looks
be
like your
null.
inputs are ignore on that rule step though. Was that something you're doing? If you go back up to the step in the flow, looks like you don't have any inputs. Not here, but back out of the rule designer completely.
Oh, yes, I was changing some data field names.
Okay.
So I just have to remap some stuff. And you do form data. This is existing heck vet. Box. Validate selected item. And then the file. It's the, yes, no, not combo box. I want file data.
All right, so do you need help? I mean, this looks correct to me.
Yep. I was, like I said, I was able to figure it out.
Oh, okay. No, this looks fine. I mean,
So,
if it's working correctly, that's great. This is how you should do it. The rule
yeah.
checks the form controlled data and then uses set or clear validations on the appropriate
Mhm.
paths.
Got you.
So
Okay.
this all looks correct to me, sir.
Gotcha. All right. Yeah,
Wow.
that was really the issue, and I happened to just figure it out.
Gotcha. Okay, wonderful. I'm gonna bump you back to a participant
Sure.
here, sir. Change role to attend. And then I guess I have to reshare my screen. And I am. And okay. With me, everyone. Let me get my stuff back up after bouncing around here. All right, so. Right, and we have a question from Mr. Madsen here about stack bar charts. I have successfully built one of these. I had to use, I'll allow you to talk, Mr. Madsen. Bear with me just a minute here. I'll show you which I had done one of these. And I'll walk you kind of through what I did here. I had to use a bunch of SQL query magic to get counts out, and then as actual counts, and then I grouped those counts together. It's going to take me a second to pull this example up here for you. Just a sec.
Okay.
Here we go. So let me just run this report and we'll see. This is the right one. Okay, so this is a stacked bar chart, which is for our team members, it would be the total number of tickets they have. And the red would be the number of tickets which we have marked as that needing their attention, and the green would be the remainder. So you can see here that like Osman has, it's not doing any sort of hover over count. If we dig in and look at that, the actual report itself, I think I'm using a raw, am I using raw SQL here? I'm using an actual defined query. If we look at the grouping, so I've run a SQL query to give me counts here. And then I group those by current assigned user. So what do I get if I don't group? Yeah, it just gives me the actual, so the SQL query runs and gives me the counts, and then I should have some subtotals here. So yeah, so count is difference, max, and sum needs attention. If I look at the report, I have two series here. Sum needs attention, and then the max. And that should be pulling from the fields here. So I generate a total field, and then I generate needs attention and difference here. But what I had to do, so this is all of this work is happening in, let me not save this, is in the SQL query, which is total ticket with needs attention. Total ticket with needs attention. Let's see where that's at. Find that query just a sec here. Let me just move this. Attention. If I look at that, again, I'm really doing all of the actual work in the SQL query, where I'm just trying to get counts of those particular substates. So if it's almost what the default stack bar chart expects is you to use different, which I will admit makes little sense, is it can't do like multiple like sum fields together and give you a total. So if you like if we look, it won't like you can't do multiple subtotals, like the count, the sum integer, sum all the values in column 1 or column 2 or column 3, and then add those together and get it to give you like a total and then each individual amount. It appears to need to do subtotals of different types. So one could be a max, or one could be a count or a sum, but it can't use multiple sums or multiple maxes. So when I ran up against that particular constraint, what I then had realized I needed to do to get the view I was after was, let me see here. It's tickets. Having realized, it's been a long time since I did that, is figure out I needed to construct a query that would have in line the values for me, and roll those up into as actual number of values, and then I could actually create the subtotals for those and group on the user. So there's really no difference. In fact, if I turn the grouping off, there's no difference. I don't actually have multiple rows that are getting grouped. The SQL query just does like a uniques, or it finds like distinct user counts and then groups and sums up all the values. And then it just happens to group on that user so that I can use that as the basis for the report. And then I can just pull the values out of the SQL query. You got to do a bunch of work to get these. You have to format your data very intentionally to get this to work, unfortunately.
Okay. Can you
I'm not sure if I'm
show-
helping you at all here, man.
A little bit. Can you show me where on the chart you're able to define the series? 'Cause I think right now that's my biggest problem is I can only define a single series.
Yeah, so in the report designer, if you're in the data view on the header,
Yeah.
under results, you'll have subtotals and you can add multiples here. If there
Okay.
are multiples, you should then see options, and there should be an add series button. So if you click into the chart, you'll see chart data in the top right-hand corner, and you should be able to select the existing series subtotals that you have and or reorganize them and add series as well.
See, that's I think I'm gonna have to get a more in-depth session because I think I do have some prerequisite problems that are even keeping me from getting that far. But yeah, I'm not able to add an additional series. Now that I'm looking at it now, I'm seeing my labels are a little screwy. Not getting the groupings that I expected. So I think I'm gonna take this offline, but it's good to know that there's a certain level of effort with the stacked bar charts that's not quite intuitive yet. It may be something that I want to work on my guys training on, figure out how to make a sort of recipe for how to do this for ourselves in the future. But I appreciate the help. Thank you.
You bet, man. Happy to sort of help.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, man.
Yeah, you bet. All right, we got a question from Vasilis here. And I need to have a value of a text box required for a save operation based on the value of another form control. For example, if user selects an option drop down, then the text box is required to have a value. Otherwise, no. Okay. Are you comfortable using, have you done any validation rules yet, Vasilis?
Yes. I've not done for outcome paths though, for something required.
Okay. So really, we could put this together really quick.
Yeah.
So
For
flow.
example, yeah. Let's do that. Thanks.
So I'll do it in the old, I think you guys are on an older version, right? I think you
Yeah,
guys are on
version
5 or
6.
6. Yeah, I'll use the
6.
old way. So it makes more sense for you. Here's a form. On this form, we'll put a drop-down list. String, it'll be static. And we'll just say A, B, C.
Right.
We'll put a button. And we'll put a text box beside it.
Exactly.
Call it str1. This thing will be called selected drop-down list. Okay, so if I have this in place and I use the sort of legacy way, I'll come here under legacy. I'm going to add a validation rule. So I'll add this validation rule called check text box for value. It'll be a rule, and I'll pick or create, and I'll create. I'll select, and I'll create, and I'll define my input data here. So set up input data, and this is going to be, I'll say selected drop down list item. So if return true, if the selected drop down list item, and I'll just say, I'll say does not equal B. So if it's A or C, it'll return true if either A or C is selected, right? Okay. And then what I'm going to do now that I have that is click update inputs, and I have to find the input to pass this in. So I edit this and I change this from form input data to form component. And I come down here and now I see a filtered list. So I know I'm taking in a string. My drop down list is a string, so I can select it. If it's not showing here, it's because you have a type mismatch.
Correct.
I'm going to say selected drop down list. And then what I'll do is scroll down to apply to controls, and I'll select my text box as the control to apply. And I'll click OK. If I look at my outcome rules here, outcome scenarios, I'm going to set this to optional instead of required. Now, if I save this and connect my button and debug. So now if I select A and try to submit, hold on, maybe I have this backwards. Let me select B. Okay, I have it, but yeah, so right now, if I select B, right, so it will turn true if it's not B. So that first test was correct. I might have to rewrite that logic.
So the key is you make optional the outcome rule, and then you have a validation, right?
Oh, I missed one phrase. Yeah, exactly. Let me come back in here really quick. I'll talk back through this once I get my example working here. I need to add a rule statement into my rule. So equals B, and I need to add my text box value. So this will be text box value. And I'll say and text box value is not empty. So if it's B and the text box value is not empty. So if it return true, if it's not B, this is probably, I probably need to do like some sort of logical, an or condition here. So if I select A, it doesn't like that. Okay, so hold on. Let me slow down and actually go do this the right way. So let me edit my rule. My rule here is going to be, I need to add an or group. And let me copy this, put this here. So if it's B or it's selected drop-down list equals B and the value is not empty. So it's either they select A or C, or if they select B, the text box value is not empty. That's the rule we just wrote here. This should be right. Right, and we debug this. Okay, so if I select A, I should be able to submit. Oh, suck. Oh, I didn't pass my value into my text box control because I'm rushing. Let me come back to my rule. Legacy, let me edit here. Now I need to do update inputs and get my text box value, form component. It'll be str1. And let me double check my selected drop-down list is still selected drop-down. Okay. Now should be set up. Okay, so if I select A, I can submit. Oh, come on.
But I get the idea though.
Okay. Do you understand what I'm doing here, even though I'm failing to get my particular example to work?
Yeah, just repeat the highlight, the two first steps that you did, and then I'll work on the details.
Well, and look at this, empty string is empty. It is actually empty. So I bet B will submit. No? It's either not B. That should return true. Or it's B and it is not empty. A doesn't equal B. That's false. Blanking out right now. Oh, value is empty. Something's wrong here. That is a true statement. Something's wrong here that I'm not sure of right now. This should be returning true. Interesting. Okay, well, this is effectively how it should work. You check the text box value for empty or not, and then write a validation rule. Any questions about that? I sort of rushed through that while I was trying to get that to work.
Oh, I will play around. I mean, I got the idea of what you're trying to do. So.
And we've got some good documentation for these things as well on our like V6 docs. for using validation rules. If you just search for
Validate-
validation, you should be able to find it.
Oh, cool. Okay. I'll do that then. Because we
Right
use that
doc
often,
you want. Validating form data with a flow. That's not what we want. Validating form data with a rule here. This is the one you want. I'll toss this into the chat really quick as well. This is the doc I would use.
Thank you.
But you bet. Okay, and let's see here. So type answer. Oh no, I don't want to cancel. All right, here we go from Krushi. While testing the database connection, I'm getting the error. It says connection pool has been exhausted. How can I fix the error and get access to the database? And you just want to understand how things understand a few things on moving a project to QA. Okay, can you help me understand the first error that you're hitting?
Oh, sure. Well,
What is it that you're doing to get the connection pool has been exhausted error?
it's I'm getting that while trying to access like the database while on the query editor.
Okay. You're just running a query on the query editor?
Oh, yes.
And you get this intermittently or every time?
No, like we don't get it like every day. Like sometime it happens.
Hmm.
Last time when it happened, we had changed the connection string and it got fixed. But this time we're not even able to like fix the connection string. Like even when I try to test the connection string, I am getting an error which says that the could not connect to the database and the
Hmm.
connection pool has been exhausted. Yeah, either raise max full size currently 100 or timeout.
Interesting. And are you using the query editor or the query, like using this query editor? Let me see here. Oh, good Lord. Like this query editor right here, other query editor? When you're running
Yeah.
queries?
The same, yeah.
Okay, what I'd ask, if you could submit this ticket, or we could submit it to support for you. This is probably something better handled for support to get an answer for you here. I'm not sure why you're hitting an error here. It could just be that we're giving you a weird error if you get a timeout. Like if the query, does the query take some time to return when you run it, or does it run quickly?
No, it used to run quickly, like within 2-3 seconds. But can you, like, I'm not even able to test the database. Sorry, the connection string. That can I share my screen and show that to you?
Yeah, sure. Just a moment here. Okay. Okay. All right, and now that if you want to unmute again, Christian, and share your screen, we can look at what you're hitting.
So should I show the query editor first?
Sure. Does it ever load the tables or not? It just fails.
It doesn't even load the tables.
Not sure the query. Have you ever run? Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not sure I've ever used a query editor on a Postgres database. It might try this for me. Try this. Close this, and go to create data types integration. Yep, and then on the left hand side, go to database integration and add query. Yep, and then select your Postgres connection. Yep, and then click next. Yeah, I think there's something wrong with this connection. We probably need support's help to look at this. Like, do you have access to the connection folders?
Yes.
In test works there or not? Like the test
Uh,
connection button?
So I'm getting like this error when I try
Yeah.
to connect to the test database.
Yeah, I think you have a connection issue between the decision server and the database that we need to sort out. And I won't be able to do that on this call. So we'll need support's help to try to troubleshoot that for you. But I would say it's not a query editor issue. It's a database connection issue. Like we can't connect to that database right now for reasons that the error message is not alerting us to. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yes. And the second thing is that like when we try to move the code from dev repo to QA,
Mm-hmm.
so it's giving us, there are some duplicates folders which are also like, suppose there are like I have built something here
Mm-hmm.
and there are some copies of them inside the system folder which are default, like which we haven't created, but
Okay.
when we are trying to move it to the repo, QA repo, then like we're getting an error and we're not able to move that.
Can you recreate the error really quick? See if I can see it for you.
uh sure.
So design repository, yeah, check-in changes.
Sure.
Yeah, you have to provide some kind of comment. That was a successful check-in.
Oh, maybe like it's like a very big folder. I have to select all, I guess. So there is one colleague of mine, he's also on the call. If he can share the screen, it would be better. He must be having the error handy.
Okay. Who's that?
It's Devanshan, maybe. Devanshan, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So from
Here,
where should I start sharing my screen? Krushi, if you could just tell me.
yeah, here, just a moment. Let me make you analyst, and Crucia will put you back to an attendee.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You have an error message
So-
that you're gonna let us look at?
Yeah. So I'll just share the error with you, Will. So you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. But this was one of the error that I was getting. Filter step 1 rule already exists in
Yeah.
project P with a different ID.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand. Okay,
Yeah.
this is a little bit tough. I won't be able to give you guys the answer here, but support knows how to fix this, and can help you out with this. Basically, if you can find this thing, get flow input data rule collection filter step, 1 in the repo server, it's probably in a different project. So it was part of one project, now it's part of a different project. And so you need to identify it in the repo server and then delete it from the repo server and then check it back in. So I don't really have the I don't have the ability to help you walk through this now, but support can absolutely do get this taken care of for you. And they can send you the
Okay.
steps for that.
Okay. And Krushi, the answer for the database error was fixed.
No, I think we need support's help to understand why you can't connect to that Postgres database. It's not a query issue. You're not actually connected to that database yet. And so there's a connection issue there that will need support's help to troubleshoot.
Yeah, well, and if you can see my screen now, about the database error only, I wanted to highlight one more point. That was, if I can just get a minute, please.
Sure.
Yeah. Like, even if I am trying to execute this truncate table, this is an output table which we have stored in the external database. Okay, so even if I am trying to truncate this table, debug this,
Yeah.
This flow, even that is giving an error. So
Right. I
none
don't
of
think you have an actual connection, a good connection to that database right now at all. I would expect any command to work.
yeah. So that was that's a real challenge for us because a lot of things are depending on that. Like entire edit processing is for depending on that workflow processing or whatever. So how do we raise that support ticket?
Yeah,
We have already raised one.
Just email support@decisions.com with
We
the
have
details of. Okay.
We have already raised one, but hope to get a resolution fast on this.
When did you submit the ticket?
This evening.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, someone should be replying to you shortly.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm not set up to help you troubleshoot a database connection issue on this particular call. This is more design and build type questions. But
Okay.
support can absolutely help you with that. And I'm sure someone will be reaching out shortly.
Okay, sure.
Ready? I'm going to
Thanks.
move you back to an attendee here, Divjin.
Yeah, sure.
Right. Anyone else have any other questions for us today? Okay. Anybody got any other design questions? So for the, where's my, can I log, I could help you a little bit here. So for the AA REIT team, I think, I don't have a good repo to be able to help you find that, how to show you how to find that thing inside of the repo server, unfortunately. Yeah, go ahead, David. What you got?
Hey, how's it going? Quick question. I'm wondering if you can elaborate on this a little bit. So I was using a step to list files in directory at a client site, and they have this, this network share. They have it kind of locked down and permissioned out, and
Mhm,
the service account that the SHM is running under every single permission except full control.
mhm.
And when I do that list files and directory step, it bombs. So I'm wondering, do any of the directory or the file steps require full control to actually be able to do something like that? Does it make sense?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know if it's, I read that ticket from you earlier
Yeah.
today. I don't know if it's expected or not that it has it. We need to, we need to get someone on the dev team to confirm or deny for us.
Okay, I got
I mean,
you.
if it is expecting that today, then that's what it is. If that's intended or not is a different question. So I would
got you.
say in the short term, it seems to be required.
I got you. Yeah. I guess whenever you guys get around to it, I mean, they're asking us, so I have to ask y'all. Like, and I basically told them, well, I mean, it is what it is. Like, you either want it to work or you don't. So give them the
Right.
permission or don't. But they were like, well, you know, we'll go ahead and do it, but we're just curious as to why. So I guess I'm just looking for a more in-depth explanation of that I can kind of pass on to them and say, well, you know, it is what it is, but here's the deal, right? Even if that answer is, well, it shouldn't be that way, it was an oversight, you know, but it is what it is, then that's totally fine too. You know what I mean?
I'm assuming, it could go either way. I mean, ultimately, when someone pulls that ticket, they're just going to ask devs to see if it's expected or not.
I gotcha.
And then we can relate that back to you. It seems unreasonable, just on the surface level, that it needs full control. You know, it seems probably that it shouldn't actually need that. Maybe that something is in the code expects full control, but it doesn't actually need it for that.
Yeah.
But that's totally an assumption on my part.
I gotcha. Would these things that you're pulling across, would that work? Maybe.
I
But
don't
that's more
see a
like
list files one. These ones let you like build like an actual account. Like use a specified account, but it doesn't. Looks like we didn't give you a like a list.
I gotcha.
Yeah, so I would say, I mean, right now, I mean, if it wouldn't require full control, then there would be a code change required. So likely, no matter what the outcome is, like that customer is going to need to sort of either grant some exception for that particular network directory to have full control for the service account.
Yeah. Okay. That's essentially what I told them.
Unless, I mean, maybe if that's a big deal, you could like have like a PowerShell command get executed or something, do some weird wonky way to do it. If you're just trying to get a list of files without having it have the ability to, you know, do specific things.
I mean, that's just to list them, and then it's doing other file steps downstream of that in the flow. So if I have to go that PowerShell route, I'd rather not have to do that for every single one of those steps just to get around this, you know.
But yeah, I'm uncertain if it's expected or not. But either way, if it's not expected, it's going to require a code change, and likely you guys aren't in a place to upgrade them to like 7 or 8, which means that they'll just need to accept some kind of exception there.
Yeah, agreed. Cool, appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. Happy to help. All right. Anybody else got any questions for us today? I feel like I haven't done a very good job of getting solid answers. I guess it's one of those Mondays. Okay. Going once, going twice. Okay. All right. I think we'll go ahead and call it a day then. Thanks, everyone. And we'll see you at same time tomorrow.